Hi, Dr. Nicholas fans. Mrs. Crane here, going to read Chapter 9, The Time Boat, with you today. When we got to school the next morning, there was a sign on our classroom door. Go to the science room. That was weird. We went to the science room, which is all the way at the other end of the school, and you'll never guess in a million hundred guesses what was in the middle of the science room. Wrong. It was a boat. What? A giant rowboat was in the middle of the room. It was the weirdest thing in the history of the world. Mrs. Yonkers, our computer teacher, was in the science room too, along with Mr. Docker and Dr. Nicholas. Where did you get a boat? I asked. From Rent-A-Boat, said Dr. Nicholas. You can rent anything, but this isn't just any old boat. It's a time boat. What's a time boat? Asked Andrea. A time boat is a boat that travels through time, said Mr. Docker. Mrs. Yonkers and I invented a time machine with the help of Dr. Nicholas, of course. Are we going to travel through time? Asked Alexia. Yes, said Dr. Nicholas. I figured the best way for you children to learn history would be to go there and see it for yourself. Yay, we all shouted. Traveling through time is the coolest. I saw a movie once about a guy who traveled back in time, and when he got there, he killed his mother by accident. So he was never born. That movie was weird. Wait a minute, said Michael. Why do we need a boat? Why didn't you just build a time machine out of a phone booth or a car? Because the whole class couldn't fit inside a phone booth or a car, said Mrs. Yonkers. Hop in, said Dr. Nicholas. We all climbed into the time boat. I sat in the front with the guys and Alexia. Andrea and Emily sat in the back. Where are we going? Asked Neil. You will be traveling back to the year 1776, said Dr. Nicholas. She was fiddling with a bunch of knobs on the control panel of the time boat. Are you coming with us? Asked Ryan. Oh, no, said Dr. Nicholas. There's no room for grown-ups in the time boat. Do we need to paddle or anything? Asked Michael. Nope, just hold on tight. Aye, aye, Captain, I said. It was exciting. The closest I ever came to traveling through time was when my family went to a restaurant called Medieval Times. They had guys on horses charging at each other with spears while we ate chicken. That place was weird. I'm scared, said Emily, who was scared of everything. Don't be afraid, said Dr. Nicholas. You have nothing to fear but fear itself. What does that mean? I asked. Beats me, said Ryan. On your mark, yelled the grown-ups. Get set, go! Suddenly, the lights went out. It was so dark I couldn't even see my own hand in front of my face. Then there was a buzzing sound, and the time boat began to rumble and shake. There was electricity in the air. Well, not really. If there was electricity in the air, we would all die. Help! Yelled all the girls. Everybody was freaking out. We were going back in time. I held onto the side of the time boat. There was flashing yellow lights and strange noises. It went on for a long time, and then suddenly, everything stopped. A spotlight fell on a lady who was sitting on a chair next to the time boat. She was dressed in old-time clothes, and she was sewing stars on a flag. She looked a lot like our librarian, Mrs. Rupee. Who are you? Asked Andrea. I'm Betsy Ross, the lady replied. Wow, my mom loves your song. Stop in the name of love. That's Diana Ross, said Ryan. You look a lot like Mrs. Rupee, said Neil. Never heard of her, said the lady who called herself Betsy Ross. What are you doing? Asked Emily. Well, what does it look like? Betsy Ross said. I'm making an American flag. Well, why don't you just go to the store and buy a flag? I asked her. They don't sell American flags in the stores here in 1776, Betsy Ross told us. I'm making the first one. You see, we colonists are sick and tired of British rule, so we're starting a revolution. Betsy Ross told us all about the Revolutionary War. But suddenly, while she was talking, the lights went out. The time boat started shaking and rumbling. There were bright lights flashing. Everybody was freaking out again. And then the lights went back on. We were back in the science room with Dr. Nicholas and Mrs. Yonkers. That was cool, I said. We got to see Diana Ross live and in person. It was almost like a ride at an amusement park, said Neil. Do you think we really traveled through time? Asked Ryan. I don't know, said Michael. That lady seemed pretty real. Can we do it again? Asked Andrea. Sure, said Dr. Nicholas as she went over to the control panel. This time you're going to go back to the year 1920. Dr. Nicholas fiddled with the knobs. The lights went out, the time boat started shaking, and the next thing we knew, there was a guy standing next to us. He looked a lot like Mr. Docker, and he was holding a bowl of peanuts. "Who are you?" we asked. "My name is George Washington Carver," he replied. "I'm an inventor." "You look a lot like Mr. Docker," I told him, with a wig. "Never heard of him," the guy said. "I was born a slave, but I grew up to become one of the most successful and famous scientists in the world. I took peanuts and made them into peanut butter, paper, inks, oils, and over 300 other products." George Washington Carver told us all about peanuts and even let us eat some. That guy was nutty for peanuts. Then the lights started flashing again, and the time boat started shaking, and we were back in the science room. After that, we got to meet Susan B. Anthony, who looked a lot like Miss Small, our gym teacher. Thomas Edison, who looked a lot like Mr. Mackey, our reading specialist. And Grandma Moses, who looked a lot like Dr. Nicolas. It was the greatest day of my life. You should have been there. "That was cool," we all said when the lights went back on. "I'm glad you enjoyed the time boat," Dr. Nicholas told us, "but you'll have to get out now and let the other classes take their turns." We were all about to climb out of the time boat when the weirdest thing in the history of the world happened. Somebody screamed. Well, that's not the weird part, because people scream all the time. The weird part was what happened next. Eek! It was Andrea. "What's the matter?" we all asked. "Emily's not here," shouted Andrea. "She was sitting right next to me in this time boat." "Where's Emily? Where's Emily? Where's Emily?" In case you were wondering, everybody was shouting, "Where's Emily?" Emily was gone. And that's the end of chapter 9. Come back for chapter 10 on Friday with Mrs. Wilson. Take care and have fun. Keep reading with me. Bye, everyone.